Pesach. So a few days before Pesach, we had a yeshidus with the Rebbe, one-on-one with the Rebbe. And every one of the 11 shluchim, Florida, went into the yeshidus. The Rebbe told everyone the same thing, but also different things. And I wrote that I'm having a problem. I can't, my shlichus is messed up because I can't sleep at night. It's interfering. I want a bracha. And the Rebbe looked at my pan. He looked at it and he went, like, it was weird. He's like that, he shook. And then he started telling me, you can see the words coming out of his mouth were so incredible. That which you say that you're having problems, you should be well, begashmius, uberuchnius, uberuchnius, ubegashmius, ubegashmius, uberuchnius, gam yochad. These were his words. Materially, physically, spiritually, and then both together, united together. And I never had problems throughout my whole 3-year sleepless since then. In fact, I couldn't stop sleeping. That was, okay. So this Sicha is an incredible Sicha. It's about the words when we start chapter 6 of the Megillah. At that night, in the middle of that night, the king's sleep was disturbed. Those words, when you say it, I'm going to just play a recording here. 1 second. A second. Right one.
Balayla Hahu,
those 6 words, when you start saying it, the Baal Koreh raises his voice very, very high. The rest of the Megillah, we scream those words. What is the reason why we scream those words? So there's a reason given by the commentaries, and the Rebbe builds on this and ties those very words in the midst of the dark night. The king's sleep was disturbed. He connects that with the idea of raising your voice. It's not just we raise our voice just to, to highlight an important part, an important juncture or turnaround of the Megillah, but the very idea of a person raising one's voice, one person raising one's voice is connected to the idea of those 5 words, Balayla Hahu, in a very, very powerful way. You asked the question last week, right? I don't forget. So I thought it over, and it's quite obvious that it applies to an individual as well, not just to the public. She asked whether what we mentioned last week about when a person sort of disconnects and feels having a safe haven with some guy out there and believes that that's how we'll be protected and doesn't think about Hashem's protection. Hashem responds, and reciprocates and says, okay, see you later. Let's see what happens. So if you ask me if this applies just to the Jewish people at large or to individuals who might be, outnumbered by the majority of the Jewish people who are doing well. So in fact, I even asked my brother, and he didn't even hesitate to answer. He said, but sure, it applies to an individual as well. And the reason, I think, is because it's not a punishment. It's a natural consequence. So it makes no difference if you're the general Tzibur or a Yachid. It's whether a person takes off his helmet, it doesn't make a difference if most of the people are doing it or you're just one person doing it, you are in danger. So it's a natural consequence. The Rebbe's whole chiddush was that Hashem was not punishing the Jewish people. He was responding with a natural response. You don't want me, so I won't be here. Fine. I will remove my hashgacha to a different level where nature will run its course. That's what he told me. And I relate to it also as well. I also mentioned a few weeks ago, maybe from more than a few weeks ago, that ever since Matan Torah, Hashem created a relationship, not just to the Jewish people at large, but to every single Jew individually. Remember we talked about that? When did we become the chosen people? So everyone says when we came out of Egypt. That's when the Jewish people at large became the chosen people. But Matan Torah, Hashem was speaking at Yechidus with each individual. And everyone felt it's just me. He wasn't talking to you, he was talking to me. So although it was the greatest crowd in history, congregated there, millions and millions of Jews, and even Jews that we couldn't see were there, the souls were there, and yet everyone felt it was just a private audience. Yechidus. That's when every individual is important to Hashem, and Hashem chooses. You know what chooses means? Truth means that it's beyond any kind of calculation we can even imagine. Deeper than a relationship that a father has to a child or a parent has to a child. It's so deep, it's like equal to Hashem's connection to himself. The father is still connected to, parents are connected to themselves more than to the children. Maybe they love the children, they'll do anything for them, but it's, you are yourself. It's beyond connection. It's that deep. It's so deep you can't put it into words. How deep are you connected to yourself? The answer is, it's not deep, it's beyond deep. I am myself. So Hashem is himself, and so are we part of himself. And it's not just to the Jewish people, I like them as a whole. Hashem's love to every individual is so deep and so essential. So therefore, it affects us as individuals as well. That was last week. Let's see the Sicha inside. I do want to share with you, if we have time later on, Bible codes. You ever hear of the Bible codes? My brother was very much involved in this. I wasn't sure that Rebbe was so happy about it, but I will mention to you something about this week's Parsha, where the Rebbe's name, his mother's name, father's name, and the word Yechi HaMelech HaMashiach is hinted in this week's Parsha, which is a Parsha that's always read, except for this year, it's the leap year, before Yud Aleph Nisan. The Parsha that's always read before Yud Aleph Nisan on a regular year is Parsha Tzav. And I will share with you later on if we have time. Not do it another time. Page Ayin Vav. I have the actual original book. Balayla Hahu Nagdash Nasa Melech. This is the first page. On the bottom of the first page you have, this is not from the Sicha, this is an excerpt from the Sicha. Beginning of the Sicha, I left where it's not mentioned here in this over here. This book over here doesn't have the whole Sicha. But that's why I want to start from where it becomes related to Purim. Biur Tam Hamina, the understanding of the reason for the custom. B'kriyas HaMegillah, when we read the Megillah, Shekasher Magi and Balayla Hahu, we reach the words Balayla Hahu Nadadosh Nas HaMelech. In the midst of that night, the king's sleep was Nadada, was disturbed. Magbiim Esakol, we raise our voices. What's the reason for it? Everyone says, when you raise your voice, you're highlighting something. The intensity of the miracle of Purim really started, the turnaround started then. His bate was expressed in the fact that he couldn't sleep. We all know what happened. He couldn't mention the Gemara class. He couldn't sleep. And he was wondering, why did Esther invite Haman? Maybe there's something going on between them. And they're, who knows, planning an assassination. Why does no one tell me about this? I don't have any friends. I have friends. Maybe because someone did me a favor in the past and I never rewarded that person. Look at my annals of history and then chronicles, and then the rest is history. Things started going down. Haman started going down the drain. As a second party, she says, this is the man, this evil man here is the one who wants to destroy my nation. And Achashverosh went, when he was just couldn't believe it. He walked out. And he wanted to take some fresh air. He was angry. And as he's coming in, what does he see? He sees Haman begging Esther, but Haman at that moment was lying over Esther. She was being compromised. And then he says, what? Hagam lichbei malka, you're taking over the queen right in my presence in the king's house? Along came, who was the one who mentioned? He's the guy who also prepared the news for Mordecai. You know his name? Carbona. Some say it was Eliyahu Novi, actually. This guy is Carbona. Gam Carbona Zochlatov, we say yes. It was Carbona. And then, boom, Haman is finished. He's out. Once Haman is out of the picture, things started getting better and better. It wasn't finished yet because we needed to remove his retract of his decree, but it began all of that night. That night is where everything started going. And we all know that whenever Achashverosh is mentioned, HaMelech, it refers to Hashem as well. Because Achashverosh actually has the meaning of Acharit Vireshit Shalo. Acha Virosh. End and beginning. Who owns the end and the beginning of all time? God. So whenever you have Achashverosh, it also is a hint to Hashem, and Esther represents the Jewish people. Now, says the Rebbe the following. When you say Balayla Hahu, it's a double darkness. Why? Hamilim, the words Laila Hahu, Mitzaynim, point to as Tachlis HaHelim, the ultimate degree of concealment. Ki Laila Mitzadatzma is already Helim. The Laila, the word Laila, night, is already a time of darkness. But sometimes you know it's dark. So not so terrible. If you understand that you're in the dark, it's half a salvation already. You're aware of the problem, like a person who's sick and is aware of the fact that he's sick, is already half of a cure because you're going to go to a doctor and take care of it. So Lila means it's dark, but at least you know that it's dark. That's not a secret to you. This is the distinction, the difference. Day is a time for light, the sunshine. Night, on the other hand, is a time of darkness and concealment. As we say, God called the light of the sun shining. He called that period of time day. And when the sun goes down and it's dark, he called that Lila. So Lila denotes darkness. Now, there's also Balayla Hazeh and Balayla Hahu. Which one is more darker? Hahu. What does Zeh mean? It's in front of my face. I can see it. It's clear to me that it's dark. But Hahu means you're speaking about something that is not in front of you. The fact that it's dark is also dark. You are in the dark, not even realizing that it's dark. Balayla Hahu. That night, the king's sleep was disturbed. And we're talking about Hashem also. Hashem woke up, so to speak. That night was the darkest night. It was Lila. It was such a dark time in history that it was Balayla Hahu. It was so dark. This is before the whole miracles, the whole Gzera started. The Jews were like lost in this darkness and weren't even aware they were in this darkness. So it's called Balayla Hahu. There's also two levels in Yom. There's Yom Hahu, Yom Hahu, Yi Hashem Echad. Then there's Yom Hazeh. Yom Hazeh means we can see it right in front of our face. We see the light. It's tangible. It's clear, crystal clear to us. Yom Hahu means we see it, but we see it from far. Hahu means that light, not this light that you can point to and touch. Darkness has two levels. Balayla Hahu, Balayla Hazeh. We have Balayla Hazeh where you have that in Pesach. Balayla Hazeh. But Balayla Hahu means that it's a double darkness. Let's see it inside. Gam HaMilahu, also the word who, which means he or that, Mitzayenes points to Helim. Ki yadua ha'evdel bein mila zeh, as we know the difference between the word zeh, shehu lashon gilui, like zeh keli v'anveyu. Like Kriyas Yamsuf, everyone's pointing. There he is. Something tells me, I might be crazy. Something tells me that little kids always point. You ever see kids always pointing? It's not nice, right? Where did I get this from? I think I got it from Kriyas Yamsuf. Even though Goyim also do it, but that all the kids were pointing. Tati, look at that. What's that? From then on, children just point. Zeh Keli, this is my God. It's clear, like your 5 fingers. It's right in front of you. So Zeh is clarity, as opposed to who. The Hamila who, the word who, shehu lashon nistar. When you talk about someone that's not in front of you, that person is hidden from you. Otherwise, you would say Zeh. Helim, or you would say Atah, you, instead of he. Umemela move on, it's consequently clear and understandable. Shalayla Hahu, when you have the double expression of Lila and Hahu, these are the opening words of the 6th chapter of the Megillah, which we have to raise our voice, is HaHelim HaKoful, the double Helim. HaMerkav, that is composed of, made of, Murkav. Mehelim Halayla Vehelim Hahu, a double darkness. And that is Tachlis HaHelim, the ultimate level of darkness, of concealment. And as I explained before, what does it mean double darkness? Doesn't mean it's just darker, but the fact that it's dark is also a mystery. The Helim Halayla Hahu kosher in Megillas Esther is also connected to the Megillah of Esther, because the word Esther, where does Esther's name mentioned in the Chumash? Kigam Esther Kasuv min haTorah minayin. The Torah also alludes to the story with Esther by saying at the end of the Torah it says, "The time will come when you will sin." Va'anoichi haster aster. So Esther's name is there. Haster aster, hide, I will hide, a double hiding. Haster aster hester kafel. How does the Baal Shem Tov explain double hester? Well, if you piddush Baal Shem Tov al Pasuk, and according to the Baal Shem Tov's explanation of the words haster aster, shezeh loy rak hester kafel doesn't only mean that it's double dark, which would mean also something. A deeper darkness. It's darker. You can have darkness where you can see something, but barely, and then you can have a complete darkness where you can't see anything. That's also dark, a level of darkness. But then there's another meaning. Not that it's darker. The fact that it's dark is dark to you. That the concealment is concealed. We don't sense or feel, we find ourselves in a state of concealment. We're lost. Move on. Shagam Pirish, so that's the case. If that's the Baal Shem Tov's meaning, translation of double darkness in the word Esther, the same would be true in Balayla Hahu. Shagam Pirish Ahester Shal Balayla Hahu is also all that I'm saying. Laila Gufa, who bo'ofen shel hu. The fact that it's Laila is a mystery to you. You're not even aware of the fact that it's so dark. Hu afilo einoi nira kalayla. Doesn't even look like it's Laila. Helim ahu kol kach gadol. This helim is so deep. Like you don't even sense that we find ourselves in a state of darkness. Don't even appreciate what light is, so we think darkness is good. What are the next words? Who can read the next words? Easy to make a mistake here. How do you read the next words?
Which paragraph?
The end of the paragraph will be. Huh? No, Ulufi Peter Shabbat Shem Tov, that's the paragraph begins. It's the very end of the paragraph. If you know what's following, at the end of the paragraph, it has 3 words. Can you read it? Elala Hepech, just the opposite. What are the next 3 words? Lo Samayim, Shamayim. Samim, you speak Hebrew. Samim, Choshech Or. They mistake Choshech for light. They call darkness. That's the way to go. Like right now. There's another level, but everyone's explained there's also another layer of darkness. Quadruple, Murubah.
Oh.
What's quadruple? This is not mentioned in the Sicha. Where not only do they not realize that it's dark, they call light darkness. Not just that darkness is okay, but whatever you try to instill upon them the truth, they say, what? That's disgusting. That's, that is racial. You're a racist or this or that. That's horrible. This is the way to go. So it's topsy-turvy. Choshech is Or, and Or is Choshech. That's another layer. Here we're just saying you don't see the darkness. You believe it's fine. There are layers and layers. I mean, not only do they ridicule if you say the truth, but they punish you for it. You get punished for saying the truth. You're a criminal. You're a racist. You're the worst. So that's mamish. This is how deep the darkness is. And likewise, that's how things were in the middle of this in Purim. Before the miracle happened, the Jews were very much lost before the whole thing started. In the midst of this darkness, you would think nothing can affect us, unless some major miracle of Kriyas Yamsuf takes place to wake us up. No. Within the darkness, within the bowels or the intestines of the darkness, Balayla Hahu, inside the darkness, it was still dark. But while it was still dark, something that was so powerful of an outburst of energy occurred that it permeated, it pierced a hole right through the darkness without destroying the darkness. It's not like, we suddenly start to think, no, within our dark way of looking at things, even within the perspective of Cheshach, of the darkness of Galus, the double darkness, we're able to feel something. The awareness of Hashem just had no limit to its outreach. It reached even the lowest rung, even a person who is in that double darkness mode. That's the Chiddush of Purim. It goes right through, it doesn't remove or eradicate nature. It goes into the rules of nature, into your mindset, your mindset, and now I see something. Yes, that makes sense. We'll see the Sicha weiter. Sure. I wish I could explain it well, but this is a Sicha. Delicious Sicha. What can I tell you? All right, this is the teichen, the content of what's expressed over here. Shetokef Nes HaPurim, the intensity of the miracle of Purim is not like all the other holidays. Hu Balayla Hahu, in the midst of this darkness, Nodadosh Nas HaMelech, the king's sleep was disturbed, means Achashverosh, but it also means Hashem. An outburst of very powerful energy was revealed. Dafke Balayla Hahu, Tachlis HaHelim, within the domains of this terrible Helim that was so dark we couldn't even see that it was dark. Nodadosh Nas HaMelech, the king's sleep was disturbed, and it was an awakening of some level of godliness. that Niyeh Tachlis Hagilui, it created the ultimate level of revelation that pierced through all the world, including our mindset. The Eina Kavana, I do not mean Eina Kavana Bazed, She'al Yedei, She'nodidos Nas HaMelech, that through the king's sleep being disturbed, Butal, like Bitel. Butal Halayla, the Laila was nullified, Ministalik Ahelim, and the Helim departed, and we were elevated to a new level of perspective. No. Elakaloshin Akoso, the Pasuk says, Balayla Hahu, the Laila was still very much alive and well. Within the midst of that dark time, shine through, pierce through this incredible light that breaks through all barriers. Balayla Hahu, Gufa, in this very midst of this night, B'mitzias Kazu, which is called Shi Tachlit HaHelim. Shi means like the summit, the pinnacle. You can't get any darker. In that darkness, you felt something without becoming a new person, without changing and being elevated, becoming more spiritual in your mundane lifestyle. You went, yes, this is a God. This is a sign. This is, yes, this is divine. Who is saying that? You in your earlier mindset, in your previous mindset, were also shaking your head. That's the Chiddush of Purim. It doesn't have to elevate you. It reaches you on your level, however low you're holding. Balayla Hahu Gufa. The Mitzias Kozu, she is a Hebrew word. She means like the pinnacle, the highest, the height.
Oh, see.
The Rebbe always says she. I know. I say she because the Rebbe said she. She. I know what you mean. I say ace, like, but the Rebbe said she, so I'm saying she. She Tachlit HaHelim, the highest point of how deep the Helim can get. It reached there also. This Hava Ho'innim Shal Nodel Shnas HaMelech. V'Lachein Muva Al Nes Purim. I have an interesting parable that's given in the Medrash compared to a deer. A deer, even while it's asleep, it's awake. Even when one eye is closed, one eye is open. That means even while there is a darkness, because one eye is closed, there's always that eye that is open, even while you're in the sleep mode. You're in the sleep mode, but you're still awake. There's something going on that does not let you sleep. You're asleep. You're in the sleep mode. You want to sleep. And you talk to asleep in a way, in your way of looking at things. And yet somehow there's that one eye that's open. So a metaphor, a parable of the miracle of Purim is like the Abishter was acting like that Tzvi with one eye open and one eye closed. Meaning that even though the one eye closed represents the Golus, there's the one eye that's open that somehow makes its way through. That while you are asleep, and one eye is shut closed, kamutza means closed. The second eye, pekucha, is open. Zotomeret, Zayin Aleph stands for Zotom. It's top of the next page. Reish says Zotomeret. Betachlis hahelem shel balayla hahu. In that ultimate depth of darkness, kayemes hametzius, exists this existence of an energy called can't sleep, which is tachlis hagilui. Now, the Rebbe continues in Beis, and he says the following. A light that can shine and reach the darkest places is a much more powerful light than a light that can't. Give me an example with seichel. Seichel is something that enlightens us. If you have brains, then you know where not to go, know where to go. It directs you. It says your brain is the guiding light of a person's life. But you have to have a brain. You have to have seichel. There's a class being given. So all those that that have the talent of understanding things will appreciate the class. I don't mean this class. I mean a class. Someone who's, you call that person a imbecile, a shota, fool, doesn't have a brain, can't figure things out, will get nothing. That light only is appreciated if you're a keli for that light. That light can't enter into the fool's mind. A fool will just not relate to that type of light. That light is limited. You have to appreciate it. But there are certain types of lights, I mean light, physical, I mean realities, you could say, that you don't need to be smart. You don't even need to have any seichel at all to agree that it's happening. For example, the fact that there are people in this room right now, you don't need to have seichel. It's obvious. Even the greatest shoita will know it's a fact. There are people in this room. There's a table here. It's light outside. It's day now. So that's also something that we see. But this level of truth, the factual reality, is so penetrating that anyone on any level can appreciate that. You don't need to have be prepared. Giving an intellectual, very deep intellectual lesson, then you have to have students that are on that capacity, have that capacity to understand it. So there's a light that's confined as light. It's only appreciated when you're in that territory, but it cannot reach the dark ones. Dark meaning one who lacks intellect. So when you're able to reach, if the light is so penetrating and so extensive that it can reach the darkest places, this shows on the infinity. The light is infinite. Ideas can make logical sense, but they're not necessarily 100% true. Sometimes you can have something that makes so much sense, but who says it's right? It makes sense, but it doesn't mean it's right. But the fact that it's daylight out there is 100% true. That level of truth reaches everywhere. Smart, medium, foolish, imbecile, even an animal can see that it's light. You won't be able to tell you that. It reaches all levels. And the animal doesn't become smart once he realizes that. So there's a certain level of reality that when this level of reality is revealed, you can stay where you are and be the biggest fool and be in the darkest cheshach in the world, and you will relate to it. You'll see it. What else is new? You don't need to go to a higher level of spirituality. So the Rebbe says like this: Zeb Gufa, this idea. This fact that the kavana, the purpose of the king sleeping disturbed, is to reveal a light that can even reach the darkness of night and even a double darkness. This is haychacha, this is evidence and proof how great the light is. The light that's called day is only good for the daytime. You can't have that at night. It's not in its territory, domain. I gave the example with intellect. The same thing is true. Light of the sun goes down, it's not there anymore. It can't be revealed at night. It's limited. Even the stam laila, even a one level of darkness, for sure not double level darkness. When something is sophisticated, and that's what makes it so bright, it can't tolerate anything that opposes it. A Baal Seichel can't tolerate fools. A person who's smart can't tolerate someone who's dumb. You'll notice that. The Rogachova, the Rogachova going? One gave the Rebbe Smicha. By the way, his passing was yesterday. Yahrzeit was passing. Rogachova Gon was an incredible, brilliant genius. Not Yilkan. The Rogachova Gon. This is someone who passed away in 1930, I think, 32. He was an incredible genius. The Rebbe called him the Sar HaTorah, the ruler of Torah. He was like not only did he know the whole Talmud by heart, backwards and forwards, that's not the biggest thing of him. He was able to answer any question, even modern technology, which you don't find anywhere in Halacha, Gemara. He was able to derive in seconds from a Gemara through many deductions how you would pass him when it comes to technology that was not yet known in times of the, Halacha, in times of the Shas. It was known, but it wasn't. You don't see it in any open discussions. Like if you answer a question, electric, what exactly is a malacha electric? There are a lot of different shilas that are hard to figure out because it's not discussed in halacha. And he like that, just in 1 second. On a plane, although planes are just barely, what's the din? Is it considered? What was the question? The question was, but anyways, he had a tremendous amount of automatic. It was a genius, beyond genius.
You also had to know all the engineering behind everything.
Yeah, he knew that as well. He was a brilliant genius. And there's stories about him. One of the most incredible people that you've ever seen. And he couldn't tolerate. He had no patience for anyone. There was a story with just a little digress a little bit. There was a story with a non. He didn't like Misnagdid, by the way. He wasn't a Chabad chassid, but he couldn't tolerate Misnagdid. He had no time for anyone. In fact, he couldn't tell when the davening went too long. Kvetching, stop, no. He would say aloud, no. I was in Buffalo several years ago, about 12 years ago, and there was a older man who actually davened in the shul of the Rogatchover. And he said, I remember he was always nervous, always about, no, stop kvetching. You got to daven every word, but stop kvetching. He has no interest in, even by his own wedding, by the way. He got married and he rushed right back to learning right after he gave his wife the ring. And he was learning Rambam. And he said, Rambam, excuse me, Rebbe, he called him Rebbe. He was in love with the Rambam. And he said, Rebbe, I have to go get married. Please stay here. I'll be back in a minute. As soon as he got married, he went right back to this. He's that kind of person, this is not.
I wonder how his wife dealt with that.
Yeah.
She must have been a character.
Who knows? I don't know much about his wife. He had a grandson, by the way, who was not that frum. And his grandson was trying to get he wasn't that smart, but average head. And it was a whole kind of, he had to pass through it. It was an exam that was given. I think it was a math and science together, scientific, and he had to write a thesis. And he was stuck. He didn't know what to do. He's walking about the room, pacing about the room. Rogatchover was easily distracted. He didn't like to be distracted. So he said, what's wrong? What are you pacing back and forth? Never mind, you won't. It's not for you, Rabbi. It's not for Zayd. It's not for you. What's not for me? I have this thing and this thesis, but please, I don't want to bother you. Come here. And Rogatchover looked at it, spent about 15 minutes, wrote up a whole thesis for him on something he never learned before. He opened the book for a thesis, gave it to the teacher. Teacher said, you're failing. You didn't do this. You cheated. Where'd you see this? And the teacher said, I have, and he told him it was my grandfather. He didn't want to tell him because he knew that the teacher would want to speak to his grandfather, and his grandfather does not like any, distraction. He couldn't stop learning. In fact, he never took a haircut because he didn't want to take his yarmulke off for a second because you can't think Torah without a yarmulke. So he never took a haircut. He had very long hair. Some say also he couldn't take a haircut because it hurt him. He had so much brain power that the hairs felt the brain and it hurt when he took a haircut. So other people say that reason. There's no words to describe. What am I saying? Mentioned the Rogatchover now. He couldn't tolerate people that were not on his level. So there was a rabbi, a Misnagid, who said, I'm not afraid of him. You gotta be careful. He doesn't respect anybody, all these rabbis, all these Rosh Hashivas, he doesn't respect them, I'm telling you. So I'm not afraid. Goes over to the Rogatchover and gives over his his ideas, his fiducian. He's waiting. Rogatchover says, it's very nice to him. Okay. And he's very, very cordial, very nice to him. So after he finishes, he says to Rogatchover, can I ask you a question? Yes. You have a reputation of being very, very rude to scholars. I didn't see that at all. That's because you're not a scholar. I'm rude to scholars, but you're not even on that level for me to be rude to. He once talked to a Rosh Hashiva. He asked once a Rosh Hashiva, how do you explain, the nature of a horse? So Rosh Hashiva says, I'm not a horse driver. How I must to know? No. I mean from the perspective of the horse. No, you're not a horse driver, but you are a horse. He was incredibly sharp, and yet here's the incredible. You know who he had time for? Lubavitcher Buffering. He sat in Fabrang and wasted his time. It was against his nature. He sat in Fabrang with Lubavitcher. He told him, he showed his lumbus too, but he loved to talk to Lubavitcher Buffering because he knew they're for real. He said, these are real. I respect people that are for real. He had a very high regards for Chassidim. And of the Rebbe, by the way, when the Rebbe was 11 years old, the Rebbe asked him a question in learning, and he writes back, something strange here, because knowing when you were born, you could not have written this yourself. You must have had help. So he said, how did you write something like this? This is the Rogatchover's. The Rogatchover always looked, you have a very high pedestal over there. And he actually was amazed on the Rebbe's level of genius at the age of 11 or 12. He gave the Rebbe smicha, that's what they say. That's what rumor says. He was the one who gave the Rebbe smicha. So he couldn't tolerate, if you weren't smart. In fact, he took some sfarim that we all respect and put it in his baby carriage. He said, it's good for babies. Nothing wrong with it, but it's good for little children. Olive bays. Oh yeah, sure. Wow, what a great finish. There was one story, I gotta tell you, one last event.
I like this
Now,
one.
Menachem Zembo was a very big tzaddik. He actually was killed in the war. He was burnt, he was killed with a secretary in his hand. It was the whole meister. My father actually saw him. Menachem Zembo. My father was in the middle of the war in Poland. He actually met him and ate in his house on Shabbos. This Menachem Zembo was an incredible genius. And he said, I want to talk to the Rogachow. I want to ask him a question. I said, you better be careful. He's not the guy. You can't just ask questions to him. He might just throw you out of the room. I'm not afraid. I have a question. If he does that, he'll do that. If I just heard, if the answer is good, I will accept that. So he asked the question. The Rogachow was not paying attention to him. Then he said, then he asked the question a second time. So listened, and they were telling him, leave before he gets nervous. And then Rogachow gave him a simple answer. The answer is like this. So he said, no, it can't be. Your answer is wrong. Because such and such and such and such and such. You're right. He stood up. I see a question. Everything was so clear to him. I see a question. Leave the Polish alone. He's saying good. And when he was on his deathbed, Rogachow was on his deathbed, he called, where's Menachem Zembo? I need him. There's no one I can talk to except for him. I'm forgetting things because I'm not feeling well. I want him to remind me of my studies. So he was a very unique exception to the rule. But the Rogachow was someone, if you were on his level, you just couldn't talk to him. But there's something deeper. And Rogachow did not have the talent of taking things that were very, very deep and making it simple. The Rebbe can deal with a child, can talk to children on their level. And within those words, have a tremendous amount of depth in those words. So to reach the darkness of light, to be able to reach even a person who's like a child in knowledge, knows nothing about Yiddishkeit, and has a whole perspective that's messed up, and to somehow reach there in that person's domain, that's a very, very power of infinite light. A light that's not limited in the realm of light. It transcends that. So this is what the Rebbe is saying over here. Ha'ara is limited, and therefore it can't coexist with Helen. Light cannot coexist with darkness. Either I go or you go. Because the darkness of night opposes it. The light of the sleeplessness, which doesn't help you to sleep, and it wakes everyone up, who bilti mugbal is a unlimited and infinite light in its outreach. No helm can block that light from piercing through, penetrating. Now, let's talk about sleep now. Here's what Rebbe talks about sleep. There's two times when you don't sleep. If it's daylight, right? Day is not meant for time for sleeping, although history, there are a lot of exceptions, but in the daytime is a time where you just don't sleep. So you're not sleeping during the day. And if you have insomnia, you're not sleeping at night also. What's the difference between not sleeping during the day or not being able to sleep at night? There are two differences, actually three. But let's look at the next page, very fine test. This quality, that is found in the idea of sleeplessness, insomnia, relative to a daytime when your person also is not sleeping, is understood very simply. But in general, the daytime does not create the desire for sleeping. But the lack of sleep by day, the fact you're not asleep by day, shona is different, betachlis, to the ultimate degree, of the lack of sleep, the absence of sleep, which is caused by insomnia at night. The difference is twofold. Aleph, first of all, heder hashina bayom, when you don't sleep at day, it's not because there's something going on in your system. Your psyche is creating the desire to stay awake. It's daylight. It's not that there's something going on in me that's keeping me awake. It's daytime. It's an outside cause. The day is causing me not to sleep. As opposed to when you can't sleep at night because you have insomnia, what's going on? What's the reason why you can't sleep? something's bothering me. And I'm not talking about physical problems, like a person could have stomach issues or other issues that don't let you sleep, pain. Talking about everything's fine physically, but mentally, your mindset is you're not restful, you're not calm. Either excited or you're not even excited. I don't even know what's bothering me. It's subconscious. Something's going on deep inside of you that's not letting you sleep. If a person is not sleeping during a day, it's the cause of that lack of sleep is the daylight. It's not internal, it's external. That's one difference. Heder hashina bayom, when you don't sleep during a day, hu beglal hayom. It's not because of me, it's because of the daylight. Zot omeret, hagorem leheder hashina hu michutz la'adam. That which causes the lack of sleep during the daytime is something going on outside of you. Masha enken, conversely, heder hashina shal nadal, the lack of sleep at night when you can't sleep. Hu beglal, why can't you sleep? Something going on with me. The problem is me. Hu beglal matzovei hanefesh. It's a internal struggle you're having with yourself. Shal ha'adam gufa. I witnessed that. It's something very deep, and sometimes you can't put you can't explain what it is. Why am I feeling so nervous? I'm not nervous. I don't even know what it is. Something very deep that doesn't allow you to witness sleep. It's part of your system, almost part of your DNA. You can't sleep. It feels that way. I just can't sleep. Why? I don't know. I go to a therapist, can't figure me out either. I don't know what it is. Sometimes you do know what it is. And even then it's also quite deep. But sometimes it goes so deep that you can't even put your finger on why is it that I can't fall asleep. It's the eye, something to do with who you are. And it takes a lot of time. You need a big bracha for this to change. Sometimes it's chronic. It doesn't go away. I had the chronic problem and the Rebbe took it away. That's a bracha from the Rebbe. But without that, I don't know. And every now and then I still have it. I have it today. So that's one difference. Is it internal or is it external? The second difference is the most important one. The next difference, besides day not sleeping and night not being able to sleep, is heder hashina bayom. Not sleeping during the day is not that you can't sleep. The day is not letting me sleep. I can't sleep when the sun is shining. That's not the reason why you don't sleep. Not the time. Who wants to sleep during the day? So much to do. There's so much to do. You don't want to sleep. The daylight causes you not to want to sleep. But if you would want to sleep, you would be able to sleep. So the day is not entering into the night mode. The day is just, first of all, it's an external cause, and it's not stopping you from sleeping. It just gives you the feeling of who wants to sleep. Who gorem is a cause. It gives you the feeling of not wanting to sleep. In other words, the day being awake does not interact with being tired. I'm not tired. It's daylight right now. There's so much to do. At night, you're dead tired and you're falling asleep and you still can't sleep. So while you're in your sleeping mode, and I don't mean sleepwalking, that's not half awake and half asleep. That's meaning you're so tired and you should be able to fast asleep right now. You haven't slept in how long, and you can't sleep until a certain time, then the body can't take it anymore. But I can't sleep. Why? I just can't sleep. It's not something causing me. It's internal. And while I'm tired, I still can't sleep. It's the coexistence. I'm dead tired, and yet I'm awake. Both together. Daylight type of not sleeping, there's no coexistence. It's just a pleasant pleasure. Who wants to sleep right now? It's daytime. Who wants to sleep? So he says like this. Conversely, on the other hand, when you can't sleep because you're disturbed, the person finds himself or herself in that state of mind in which it's part of who you are right now. It's internal, it's innate, it's part of you. And therefore, when a person finds himself or herself in this insomnia mode, it doesn't make a difference if it's daytime or nighttime. Nothing can stop this feeling. Nothing in the world, even when you really want to sleep and you are tired and everything is leading towards going to sleep, nonetheless, I can't. Because relative to that awakening, that commotion, turmoil that's happening inside of you, that energy, that outburst of energy, lo kayemet metzius shina. Shina cannot stop it. Lo kayemet metzius hashina. The Helem can't block that power. That surge of energy cannot be blocked by tiredness, by fatigue. Even the deepest darkness, so dark you're not even aware of the darkness, even that darkness will not block a powerful surge of godly energy, which is the Purim energy. Can oppose this arousal. It's an arousal that reaches everyone. So the Rebbe says like this. Now we're going to understand why those words, Balayla Hahu, in the midst of this darkness, while the darkness was still existent, the king sleep, referring to Hashem, an energy that does not allow any concealment over there, Lamaila, reached down here into this world. As far as this world is from the truth, it reached here. It arrived in this world, in the mindset of these people that were in the dark. Now we understand why we raise our voice. Because raising a voice has the two opposites. When do you raise your voice? When something bothers you, hits you deep. Scream. Help. But you know what?
Let's do it in excitement.
It could be a lot of, but it's coming from a deep part, deep place. Either it's excitement, a happy thing, or a sad thing, or you're screaming for Hatzilu, help, whatever it is, it's coming from a deep place. So it's deep. But as deep as it is, that's how far reaching it is. Physically, you can be heard. Your words will be heard at a distance. And it could be, Rebbe speaking about physical distance. If you scream, people a block away will hear you. If you talk, no one can hear you a block away. Talk, regular talk. Also, and it means also figuratively speaking, when you talk with emotions, you devarim hayotzim min halev, even a person who's like sort of like hard to get through, who's a hard nut to crack. If you really speak with emotions, and it means raising the bar of feeling in the words that you say, it will affect even a person who is like, that person will also start waking up. You see something going on that's deep. The depth of the person's heart is being expressed. It affects people far away, both far in distance, physical distance, and also distance in relating to these things. The Rebbe doesn't talk about this, but it's true that when you see a person davening, you're not a davener, and it's not, you consider it boring. Some people do. Davening is just boring. I can't. But when you see someone davening, I saw a Bainani davening, in 770, Nissen Nemanov, the Bainani Alpitanya, and a high Madreka of Bainani. Saw him daven. He was in the gulag for many years, red nose like a clown. His nose got red, for good because of the suffering he went through.
What's his name?
Reb Nissen Nemanov. He was the mashpia in France, Renoir. And I saw him davening. Just watch this person. Wow. It's entertaining. It's like, wow. So even if you're a guy or someone who just doesn't relate to this idea of davening, you have no idea what can be exciting about davening. If you're in that mode, in fact, you call davening a waste of time. But when you see someone who's really pouring it out and sitting alone for hours and hours and hours in the same place, moving his hand like that, it affects us. So likewise, with there's a powerful surge of energy. A person is speaking from the heart and speaks out loud, it reaches a distance. So therefore, by saying those words loud, Balayla Hahu, we're indicating the two opposites. Deep, and because it's so deep, it's so far-reaching. The light of Purim is so deep, it creates a commotion, a turmoil, Lamaila, where Hashem, who was in this mode of sleep, indifferent to us at that time, just woke up. Wow. And that energy has far flung. It reaches all the way to the choshech of Laila Hahu. And Balayla Hahu, in the bowels of that darkness, it penetrates. So we say the word loud. Same idea. Balayla Hahu. We say it loud because we want to indicate louder reaches far. And the miracle of Purim reached Balayla Hahu. It fits with the words. It's not just highlighting, but the actual concept of saying things out loud are related. Look at what Rebbe says in Gimel. Zeu gamatam. The title of this paragraph is Hagboas Hakol, raising a voice, more as an indicator, Sheba mepnimis hanefesh, that what you're saying is coming from a deep place. Zeu gamatam shebe'esh magim balayla hahu. When you say these 5 words, magbiim es hakol, we raise our voices. Bahagboas hakol be'es hadibur yeshnam shnei inyanim. You raise your voice during speech, during talking. There's 2 reasons. There's not 2 reasons. There are 2 aspects of what's happening. Aleph, number 1, dvorim elu shemedavrim bekoil noegim lepnimius nafesh ha'adam. The words that you speak out loud are very much meaningful to you, mean a lot to you. They hit you very deep. So it's very personal. If it's personal, you would think it wouldn't reach so far. It's personal. As we see, when a person speaks about something that really bothers you or you care about, his words or her words are not heard with shalva, with calmness or with quietness. They're not quiet, calm words. With a raised high voice, number 1. So on the one hand, it's coming from a very deep part. You care about what you're saying. And number 2, and the opposite occurs, that your words, which are so much part of you, so deep from within you, it's deeper, more you than any other words you say, and yet it reaches further out. The higher the voice, so that the voice will also reach a greater distance. In Gashmias. And the same is true. The light of the king's sleep not being able to sleep, meaning disturbed. Malchus Shel Olam, the king of the world, has also those 2 qualities of a loud voice. On the one hand, ha'or nimshach mimokam gavoa me'od. It's coming from a very deep place within the godly realm. Shisham, where at that realm, at that level, einoi shaya geder helim. Helim does not exist there. Nothing can block that. It's too deep for anything to hide it. And number 2, it is therefore able to extend to a very, very far distance. Even to a concealment that is far and very coarse and low. To the extent that it can even reach even a concealment that is so dark that you don't even appreciate that it's dark. You don't even understand that it's dark. And being by reading these 5 words, what do we want to do? We want to re-arouse Hashem again. We want things to happen again. We want to have another type of Purim. We don't want to have any Xeris of Haman, but we want to have reawaken that powerful surge of energy that Hashem revealed to the world that night. We want that to happen again. It's known when you mention things, when you mention those words, as you mention and talk about it, it causes it to happen again. It's well known that when we celebrate the Yom Tov properly, it brings that energy back into the world again. The Hayois and being should be kriyas hamilim, by reading these words out loud. Balayla Hahu, we want lahamshich, to draw down, ulechadej, and to renew this whole idea of Balayla Hahu. And he says here in the parentheses, Kipish Yodua, as well known on the words Hayomim Ha'ela Nizkarim B'Nasim. What does Nizkarim B'Nasim mean? The simple meaning means we talk about the Yom Tov and we celebrate the Yom Tov. Meaning we read the Megillah and we also have a meal and we also give Shalach Manos. There's action in the day. There's reading and then there's reading the Megillah and then there's action. But it also has a deeper meaning. Through our reading, Al Yedei Nizkarim, by the words being mentioned, reading the Megillah, Mishave Ha'inyan Shel B'Nasim, the energy of Purim is reinstated, reawakened. And therefore, we want to emphasize that by reading those words loud. A loud voice reaches further. Because in Hagboas HaKol, when you raise your voice, you have those 2 above mentioned qualities. It's deep and its outreach is unlimited. In this powerful voice, you have the 2 qualities mentioned before. Hanal means Haniskarim Le'el, that we mentioned before. By us reading it, we will also cause Hashem to reveal something that will just hit us hit home, and wake us up from our sleep. Then the Rebbe goes to the next step and goes a step deeper. Until now, all we've been saying is that a powerful light, an unlimited, infinite light, has no blockages. It can reach everywhere. But the darkness is not that which is generating the light. The darkness just receives that powerful surge. But sometimes the darkness itself can be the cause for a light. And I'll give the example with insomnia. It's interesting, it's psychological. The fact you know that it's night and it's time to sleep, and you're tired, exacerbates, makes the insomnia worse. When you know that it's a time to sleep, and you're not sleeping, everyone's going to sleep right now, and you're dead tired, and you can't fall asleep, that thought in your mind makes the insomnia worse. You know when it probably goes away? I'll tell you what I do often. When I have insomnia, I don't go to bed. I'll lay on the couch. Well, the couch is not meant to sleep. So after that, I fall asleep. But I don't feel threatened. You better fall asleep because this is it. This is the bed. If you don't fall asleep, you're going to be neck tired. You can't give a shiver the next morning. So I lie on the couch. I fall asleep. Psychological. Dafkin, when you know it's dark, it's bedtime. Then
don't go to bed. But doesn't your mind get used to you falling asleep on the couch?
yeah. So I have to try a different method. Fall from my chair. My older brother never goes to bed. He always sleeps on the chair. Very hardly ever goes to bed. So I once hope he doesn't hear this. I once it was my house for a few days, and he was just finished Meyer. He had his garter on. Done Meyer at home for whatever reason. He had his garter on and his hat on. And he sat on a kitchen chair like this. And I went to sleep. One of those nights I could sleep. I get up in the morning at 7 in the morning. Still sleeping on the chair like that, with his hat and jacket and garter on. He hadn't moved.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a talent.
Yeah. He used to sleep on a bench in 770. There was some Bachram who never went to sleep on the bed. They slept on benches. He was one of them. Yeah.
Wow.
Good night was you have one bench. It wasn't good night. You need to change benches in the middle of the night. That was a bad night. It was a sleepless night. A bench is normal. Who goes to bed? Bed was for a Balabat and married guy to go to bed. You know, Bachram go to bed. You sleep on a bench. Less time to go to bed. You know. There was a story with a guy, my brother's Chavrusa, who had all kinds of crazy hours. He was lying on a bench, and he was, 9 o'clock, at 10 o'clock in the morning. The Rebbe came down from the minyan. The Rebbe, his blanket was off him. The Rebbe would not put the blanket over him. Never tucked him. He would get all of a sudden he would wake up in the middle of the night and would scream. I place this in the Sechta Bava Kama. We have dreams of answering questions in the middle of the sleep. Not according to Rashi. Not according to Rashi. Back to sleep again. Someone by the name of Rum Friedland. He's in Israel right now, and he teaches kids. He's the person who's gone through Shas maybe 100 times. Who knows how many times?
He
used to dream about all by Rashi, Tosfos, and we talk in his sleep. I actually did have the schluss of sleeping with, I slept in his room one night, and like 2 o'clock in the morning was like the afternoon for him. And 9 o'clock in the morning was like time to rest on a bench for a few minutes or a few hours. Good old days. Okay, anyway, so the Rebbe says like this. Oh wow, that there's another level, a dimension of what's it called, of this concept of the two opposites. Not just can this light reach the darkness, but the darkness is what generates the light. The fact that it's dark, and the fact that it's night, the fact that I'm tired is what creates my insomnia. Likewise with raising the voice. The reason why you raise your voice sometimes is not always is it because you're excited. You have to hear me. Because you're so far away, that will trigger the need for me to raise my voice. So your distance creates my screaming. So the choshech generates a deeper level of light. And that's the story with Purim, that our Mesiras Nefesh, that the fact that we were in such a darkness and we couldn't, and we felt the darkness, we're told that we were in the dark. And when you're told that you're so dark, it's so dark and you don't even realize where you are, it hurts. Sometimes when you're told how far you are from the truth, that itself can wake you up. And that's what happened on Purim, that the darkness itself triggered an energy that created this light of sleeplessness, of the king's sleep, Hashem's blockages were all removed. But we brought it out. It came from us. It's much better. If the night is just, it permeates the darkness, but the darkness has nothing to do with the light. That's not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants that darkness should also be related to the light, not just being affected by it, but be the cause, the generator for the changeover. That's what the Rebbe says in the next part of the Sicha. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I know that's not going to finish the Sicha, but what I wanted to mention to you earlier about Parshat Tzav is that in the Chitas of today's Chitas, it starts off with the Zos Torah Zevat HaShlamim. The word Shlamim has, although Shin Lamed Yud Mem Yud Mem, has the Rebbe's father's name. Lamed Yud is Levi Yitzchak. It has the Rebbe's two names. Rebbe's two names, two mems. There's a Lamed Yud, and there's a Shin, which is Schneerson. But, and this is my brother not used a computer for. He said there must be some kind of remez of the Rebbe in this parasha. So he said like this, let's see if we can find it. And he made in intervals of 30, the Rebbe's first name. So if you go take letters, you go letter, 30 letters later, here's a mem, 30 letters later is a nun, 30 letters later is a ches, and then a mem, Menachem. 50, you have Mendel. And then in intervals of 68, which is when the Rebbe started the whole campaign of Yechi HaMelech, was 68 is Chayim. 68 is the gematria of the word Chayim, life. The words, I might get into trouble for saying this. I don't know what Yechi HaMelech HaMashiach. In Parshat Tzav, in intervals of 68, which is Chayim, which was the year the Rebbe started the whole campaign, because the year Tavshin Memches was 68 years from the time the Rebbe Rasha became Rebbe. I'm sorry, the time when the Friedrich Rebbe became Rebbe in 1920. 1988, 68 years later, the Rebbe said we have completed 68 years since my father-in-law's Nisius. And 68 is the Gematria Chaim. It's time to give life to the king. And that's when the whole Yechi HaMelech started. I mean, it wasn't well known then. It became later on much more. But the idea of saying Yechi HaMelech started in Tavshin Memches 68. The Rebbe tied it into the number 68. In intervals of 68, you have Yechi HaMelech HaMashiach. He showed it to me. I don't remember exactly now. I had to call him. I didn't have a chance to call him. Can you tell me where the letters are? Huh?
Each letter was 68.
From Yud, like Yechi, from Yud to Ches, 68. From Ches to Yud.
Letters or words?
Letters.
Oh.
68 letters. So Yud, 68 letters later is Ches, 68 letters later is Yud. Then Ha, the Hey, 68 Mem, 68 Lamed Chaf. I mean, to have that hinted.
In today or from the beginning of Parsha?
No, in today's Chitas. I think it might extend to tomorrow, but it's starting today. Today is Tuesday, yeah. Tuesday's Chitas. I mean, it was something that he figured out on his own without using a computer.
What's 30?
Huh?
What's 30?
The Rebbe's name. 30 and 50 of Rebbe's two names.
Do 30 and 50 like
What?
do 30 and 50 have any?
Yes. So I thought, what's 30 and 50? It says Mashiach will be a teacher and a melech. It says a melech acquires, to be a melech, you need 30 attributes. In fact, the lamed of the aleph base is the longest letter. It's called a melech, the king of all the letters. 30 is connected to Malchus. David HaMelech was 30 years old when he became king. 50 is connected to Torah. The Torah was given on the 50th day after Mitzrayim. So 50 is connected to Torah, Mashiach's power of teaching, great Rabbeinu, a great teacher, and 30 is connected to Melech. So Rebbe's two names perhaps connect to one attribute of Malchus and one for teacher, great teacher and a great king. That's just possible, but it's interesting. I found it too interesting to not share with you, even though I might get. No, he did. He spoon fed me. I didn't do anything on my own. I'm just I'm his baby brother, so what do I know? He has, he's very much underrated, as not that well known in the world. So he's written so many books. This is another book about Purim. It's everything you want to know about Purim, including the Hamantashen, why it's called Hamantashen, why is it triangular? What's the triangle part? Why Hamantashen is triangular? And he gives beautiful view about it. everything.
That's so quick.
Okay, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, but he also goes into, I can't give it quick, it's get it online, yeah. So it's phenomenal. I can share with you between Purim, he has actually a part of a book which discusses the Purim, between Purim Pesach saga. What's after Purim? I'll share one last thing with you, and I know it's late. This Shabbos is Tez Zayin, is one day, the first day after Purim, because Friday is also Purim, Shushan Purim. So it's interesting that this day was the day where the previous Rebbe became a citizen in 1949, Tez Zayin Adar. The first time where the government goes to the Rebbe. Until the Frierdiker Rebbe became a citizen, all the Rebbes had power. They yielded a tremendous amount of power. With some Tzedek of the Alter Rebbe can change the world. The Alter Rebbe wanted that Napoleon should lose, and Napoleon lost. He put Blue Schleifer before davening, the whole story. But we never saw an opening, it's late. Never saw the idea of the government coming to the Rebbe. It all started with the previous Rebbe becoming a citizen. And he connects that to the idea of Purim and Pesach. I don't have time right now, but this book is really a masterpiece. And I know I'm biased, but I really believe so. Okay.
For the questions.
Huh?
The questions
What questions?
in the book.
Oh, okay.
Questions about Purim.
The end of the book.
Yeah.
Let me take attendance for 1 second. Hold on a second. Who's here?
Wait, which one's?
Rivka? Is Rivka here? Sarah's here. Sirka? Ariel? Yeah, came here. Michal? Yes. Bracha Simcha?
No.
Dvorah? Yes. Abba? Yes. 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 Sofa?
No.
Shane Sokowitz? Yeah. Libby Rivka Boss?
Yeah.
And Tehila?
No. I guess she was in the other class.
Huh? You too.
I like this Sicha. Because I just don't sleep. So I was like, wait, this is me. I have my best thoughts at night whenever you're supposed to be sleeping. I'm like, but here's what I could solve every single issue in the world. And then my brain's on like overdrive.
You need to set aside time during the day to think about stuff.
That's great, but then my mind is like, oh, the stars are out. Like turning my track too. I'm like, okay.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Rabbi Greenberg. Sorry.
No, I just didn't see. Thank you.
No, I was not. Because I watched the podcast.
I just,
Wow.
just the Rebbe talking about her into a bench at 770, she's like, that's the wholesome thing I can
It's so
tell.
heartwarming.
It's wholesome.
It's like they really were like her children.
Hush little buffer, don't make a sound.